Michael Ray here, and I'm doing a quick intro for you guys. So we did a webinar, and it was all about 7 ways that your clinic's going to fail. I know it sounds kind of bad, right? But we exposed some typical things that people may not think about when it comes to their urgent care, and it may be slowly chipping away at their company, and they just don't know it. So we go in and identify it. We were able to do about an hour's worth of webinar and then trim it down to just to fit a perfect podcast episode. But a couple of things that we touch on, there's 7, but a couple of them we do touch on is that their referrals aren't scalable, SEO versus your ads, the hidden cost of lease contracts and your payer contracts and what you should be doing with that. Looking at when and how to scale and when not to scale, because sometimes you think if I just keep building another location, it'll just magically fix everything, and that's just not the case. And then we'll be talking a little bit about branding as well and the challenge of branding in your industry. So guys, I really hope you enjoy the episode. Let us know, give us some feedback. And if you do like what you're hearing, we have a webinar every single month, and we're happy to sign you up for the next one. Just send us an email at hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com, and we'll help you out. Thanks.
You can't pray and hope people are going to come into your clinic. You have to have a strategy relying on family and friends and referrals and word of mouth. These give you a great starting point. I started my company, word of mouth and referrals, but it's not scalable. It's not scalable. It's not predictable. It works. It's always going to be the best converting patient you'll ever have is a word of mouth or a referral. But what it is not is a scalable strategy. No. It's not something that you can predict. So instead, we recommend you aim for digital channels, traditional marketing, and then grassroots. I'm going to give you a 10,000 foot view on that. Digital marketing, Google Ads, search engine optimization, digital billboard, Facebook. These different digital channels is what I'm talking about when I say digital marketing. Traditional marketing is going to be your traditional billboard. Radio, television, print. We still think print, by the way, is an incredible channel for you to reach people. So we're not against traditional ways of marketing. Just like a 3 to 5 mile radius around your clinic, sending out a postcard, letting them know that you're here, getting a QR code, get them into your clinic. And then, of course, the grassroots marketing. This is being present in your community. So set up that booth. We were at an event one time where they had an ice cream truck that they had a clinic had sponsored. Right? Tell me about that real quick.
Is ice cream truck. I've seen popcorn. Like you sponsor the main food of an event. At my church, we did a trunk or treat, and a company had sponsored the snow cone machine.
Yeah,
it was all free.
Yeah,
and so it's just like these little things that may cost you $1,000 or $2,000 one time, but then you're pouring back in that community, and they'll remember over time. Yeah, these are all things like you have to be what we call omnipresent, where you're just showing up in every avenue possible. So when that moment comes, it becomes a real easy conversion.
The gross version of saying that is a diversified acquisition plan. The beautiful way to say that is an omnipresence approach to taking all of these different channels and attracting clients. This is one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, because we're going to talk digital, is SEO versus paid ads, because you need to have a mix of both. When you see the picture here, you're seeing a coal and a bonfire, right? SEO is that slow burn. You cook with SEO. It's slow, it's hot, and it lasts for a long time. Eventually it'll burn out. You got to throw some holes on there over time. But a good SEO strategy is going to carry you a long way. But it is slow. It takes a long time to get those coals hot, burning white and ready to go. A bonfire, you stack up some wood, you throw gas on it, and you got an atom bomb. Ads are very predictable because I can just keep putting logs of wood on the fire and I can keep the fire burning hot, but it burns quickly. And what I mean by that is it's more expensive. It's going to cost you more. It's going to take more effort as far as like daily keeping a pulse on things, but you can control it a lot better than your SEO. I think you need both, right? You need one to cook and one to control.
Even to take it, I was thinking about this. So it's like when you have that, you're out camping. I like camping, but you're going to be lazy, right? So you throw lighter fluid on there, you put the coals down, you put the wood on, and you throw lighter fluid on there and you light it, boom, it goes. And hopefully the coals catch, and then it keeps it all going, because that lighter fluid goes in a few seconds and you have to keep adding. Like it's the same idea. Even when we talk to clients, like ads will get you going. The SEO is there for the long term to help burn over time.
My dad taught me with the coals, you keep putting lighter fluid on it until it stops absorbing it.
Okay.
So it saturates it, it'll look wet and glossy, and then it won't burn out. So there you go. Fun fact. It's worked for me every time. All right. If you're not on Google Maps, you're invisible. I'll say that again for those in the back. If you're not on Google Maps, you're invisible. So on the right side of the screen, you can see what used to be called places. That's part of the anatomy of a search. The first you see on a search is you're going to see ads. The second part, this picture here, that is Google Maps. That is what your Google business profile optimization is going to put you on. As if you see the more places button at the bottom underneath those three clinics, it's going to show the 50 other clinics that didn't do the work to get into that map 3-pack, or they're still working on it.
Yep.
They're still working on it. But optimize your Google business profile. I know this sounds rudimentary and simple, but I want to make sure that I know you have one. You need to treat it like it's a social media for business. You need to make sure that every little detail on there is filled out with proper information. You want to make sure that you're regularly, like daily, getting reviews for your clinic and daily responding to those reviews without busting HIPAA. Don't acknowledge that they had an ailment or anything like that. Just, hey, thank you for coming in. We're glad you got a chance to meet our team and we were happy to serve you, something like that. And then make sure that you are posting to it like it is a social media. If you have a social media team posting to your social media, make sure they take the extra step and do that exact same post on your Google business profile. Will anybody see it? No. Nobody cares. Google sees it.
Google used to care so much that they would mark it old with 3 days.
They don't do that anymore because they couldn't get everybody to do it, but it is still relevant. What it shows is a signal that you are active on Google and paying attention to what you're putting out there. And so therefore you are automatically more relevant. Google works on relevance. Ads are not a cost. They are a patient pipeline. This is a controllable system for you to be able to put money into a system and get money back out of it. All right. In the form of a new patient. ROI examples. If you run a $5,000 campaign, spend over 30 days, and you get 50 new patients, then it's a $300 average charge, $15,000 in revenue. That's a 3-to-1 return on investment. We typically see a 6 to 7-to-1 return on investment, just to give you some context there. But this seems to be the average once we find a client that is just new to us. This is typically what we're seeing as a 2 to 3-to-1 return on investment. But here's what I love about this. Once you understand exactly what your cost per conversion is, our key performance indicator is $10 cost per conversion, then all you have to do is tell me how many patients you want, and I can turn the knob. I can turn the knob and I can get you the patients. There's always going to be a diminishing return on Google Ads because it doesn't create demand. It just meets the demand.
Also, the platform loves your money.
I want your money.
We've seen it time and time again. Even though the demand may be there, Google is forcing a more expensive conversion because they don't like losing money on a deal.
100%. This is a controllable source of patients. SEO is not a controllable source of patient. Postcards, television, radio source. This is the only one that I can think of that is a controllable source of new patients. Once you get that cost per acquisition, you can simply adjust your budget and you get what you need. And track every patient like a lead. We believe that clinics are businesses, not just healthcare providers. We see urgent care clinics as a business model. We call it retail healthcare. A retail company or any other business for that matter, they track everything. So track flow, your lead capture, make sure that you're tracking your calls, make sure that you're tracking your forms, your CRM, or your EMR or EHR. So making sure that you can track how people are getting into your medical system, we want to make sure that you have that. And a conversion is an appointment or a visit, just that we're clear on what we consider a conversion. Somebody took action in the form of a phone call because they wanted to be a patient, or they took action on setting an appointment on your calendar, right? Clockwise. Yes, foot traffic is a conversion, but you can't necessarily see where that came from.
So here comes failure number 3, which Nick and I will tag team a little bit. We are not insurance people.
I think the best way for me to do this particular failure is just to tell a quick story. Having a bad payer contract is detrimental because of pure financials. But let's do this quiz real quick. Do you know the break-even cost per visit for each of your payers? United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Aetna, all the different things. Are you familiar with if a patient comes in for an urgent care visit? Okay, great. I see some yeses and I say, no, but I want to figure it out. I love this. Okay.
By the way,
somebody's their answer in real time. I love that too.
By the way, this is the most answered question we've had so far.
This is also a hot topic. What we need to do is get somebody who's an expert in this particular field on a webinar or a podcast with us to answer questions. That'd be great. But here's why you want to know that. Some visits are going to have a better value to you than other ones, and it's going to tell you where to go negotiate. You can hit the slide. I was having a conversation yesterday with an urgent care out of Georgia. And they were telling me they were not happy with their payer contracts because the average visit should be well over $150, probably $165 to $175 per visit. And they were getting paid $120 to $130. Immediately, through asking questions to this urgent care, I'm like, well, when are you going to go talk to your payers so you can renegotiate your contracts? Most urgent cares negotiate when they open and then never negotiate again. They do their initial negotiations to get the contracts in place with the payers. They open up their doors. There's a few stragglers that come in along after they open their doors and they add them later, but they never go back and renegotiate their contracts. And just think, even if you added an extra $10, $15 per visit, you do that over 25 to 35 visits a day, that adds up significantly over time. So the biggest thing that I wanted to talk about in this particular section, that you can add what you want.
Yeah.
Go back, review your contracts, and see if there's opportunity to renegotiate. If you're not making $150 for a patient visit with your contract, that is one worth revisiting and renegotiating.
I think he had 120 locations, and he had gotten to the point where he was losing money for every patient that came in with that insurance. And so he was ready. He even told him, he's like, I'm just going to put a sign on my door today that just on all my doors and just says, we no longer accept your insurance. Let's see how much it hurts. And of course, the insurance juggernauts, they could care less about, oh, we lost $1 million. Who cares? Because we're billions.
Yeah.
But I think
he's not closing his doors.
Yeah, he's not. And so just that remind, every contract has a renegotiation point. It's a problem if you signed something 5 years ago and you just assume that's the best you can do. Things have changed quite a bit.
Benchmark your sources. Industry data shows top reimbursement rates. You can find that with a simple Google search or a chat search.
You probably have friendly competitors that aren't in your market. You can call on some of your other urgent care, because that's the best part about this.
We're working on building a community. Just to give you a heads up, we're working on building a community where y'all will quit looking at each other as competitors and look at each other as inspiration for one another.
You know, we remind a lot of our clients, like, your competitor is 5 to 10 mile radius around your clinic.
Correct.
Outside of that, unless you plan on opening another location in a certain area, they're your friends. Learn from them if you can. So if you have some friends that you respect in your space that are similar sizes to you, reach out to them and say, hey, what are you getting for this rate? And just where the numbers lie, and may give you an opportunity to renegotiate.
A rising tide raises all ships.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. And this, we got this just for pure clarity. We got this from Xperity.
Right? Yeah, you were on a webinar with Xperity.
Yeah, and I asked them for permission to use
this. Is one of the slides they had utilized for you, but
they have tons of data through their system. What they've realized is that at 23 patients per day for the vast majority of urgent cares, that is the break-even point. Everything is an expense up to 23 patients per day. At patient 24, it's 100% profit. So everybody should have the goal at $150 per visit to get 23 patients per day, just as the standard. Goal number 2, how many more above that can we actually serve?
Yeah, because then you have to look at overhead.
That's right. But you also don't want to create damage to your brand and to your clinic by not serving patient 41 very well. Yeah, does that make sense?
There's an old phrase in the business world of too many sales kills a bad business faster.
Yeah, that's it.
And so it's the same concept in urgent care. Too many patients can kill if you have bad processes or process that just can't handle it, then your reputation starts to leak out. And man, patients love leaving bad reviews for urgent cares.
I want to recommend that once everybody receives our slide deck after the webinar, go back to this particular page and study the incremental visit economics of urgent care. This is a huge slide that's going to help you grow your clinic if you understand it. Okay, let's keep going. Toxic lease agreement. Let me just tell you,
we have personal experience here.
I own a business and I lease. And I've leased now 3 different areas. Okay. You can go ahead and slide.
I guess 4 technically.
Yeah, technically 4. It is so critical to get this correct. I really can't explain it. This is a make or break for your clinic if you don't do it right. And I'll explain it in a minute, but let's do this. Did you work with healthcare specific broker when negotiating your clinic lease? Kimberly is fantastic. Kimberly Darnell is somebody that we know. She just works with the medical industry to get them leasing space.
And she helped us out. She had some pretty cool information inside. She even helped us get a better rate. And we didn't even have to pay for a rent for 3 months.
But there were some other things that she helped with that I was very pleased with. But granted, the vast majority of her knowledge was for not urgent care. So it would have been dental and all the different things, but it is retail health. And having that kind of person was huge for us. And that wasn't even specialized in our space. Imagine if it was. Yes, it made a big difference. I would even go back to a leasing agent and say, hey, what did you do for me that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise? Would have been a great question. Your lease can break you before you're open. One of the things that we learned a hard lesson on is hidden CAM fees. CAM is a common area maintenance fees. Be very, very careful in how this is written into your contract. What happened to us is the current owner of the building decided to do this big renovation of the building, but the building wasn't completely sold out or rented out the space. So out of the 25 spots, 7 of them were rented. And they tried through CAM fees to make the 7 tenants pay for 25 spaces worth of split.
Yep.
And Yeah, we were not having any of that. And I pitched a 2-year-old diaper baby fit about it in a nice, polite way, but just no, we're not doing
We
that.
got a magical
Um,
refund.
Not only a refund, they wound up selling the building because of the point. Anyway, you don't want camp fees to cook your business because it will eat it up. When you start doing 30, 40, $50,000 worth of renovations, slapping that bill on the tenants and it's not a completely leased out space, you lose. So you need to make sure that risk is mitigated in the contract.
It's real frustrating when you're presented a contract and it's like, here's your final, what you're going to pay every month. And it magically is more than that.
It's a dang lie is what it is.
And then making sure you read, like, when does the fees actually change? Because we were like, in that particular situation, they were trying to get us to pay for the renovation as it was happening, even though their contract actually said it's a review of the previous year and then the fees would adjust accordingly. So they were trying to double dip. Were they trying to facetiously? I don't know.
They were doing it out of ignorance, but it doesn't matter. The fact that their ignorance was going to cost me money. And by the way, their ignorance can cost you money too. And that's really what we're trying to do is say, hey, listen, I don't want you to have to go find 5 more patients a day just to break even again. If 23 is the baseline, but you have to do 28 because they're rolling in fees, looking at the long-term leases with no performance outs. Why is this important? What if I suck as an urgent care? If you're terrible at giving care, no offense, you don't deserve to be in business. Love you a long time. But I don't think that's the case for the people who are on here. What I'm talking about is you have a wonderful location for an urgent care. You're in a 10-year lease and they cut an interstate around your building. Now you're stuck in a place where no more traffic exists.
That's real.
You have to have a performance metric that will allow you to get out of that in a way that's not going to cause you harm. And something that we didn't put in here, absolutely, do not sign for it personally, period. End of sentence, don't do it.
And you'll get a lot of pushback for that.
Yep, they will take your money. Don't sign for it personally. Do not put your house, do not put your family, do not put your kids' college funds up as collateral. Sign a long-term.
Well, and even if, so like I know for some of those who may have, like their first lease was because they're a startup, they probably signed personally for it because they had nothing behind it.
But I only did it for 1 year.
The part to remember is when it's time to go back and renegotiate, hey, I don't want to sign this personally guaranteed anymore. I want to switch it to my company's been around for 5 years. We've proven ourselves. Right. I want the company to take the heat, not me. And it will happen. Like we had put no, that. And they said, hey, we need this spot filled because it's actually going vacant in 6 months and we have somebody ready to go. Let's take it.
Yep. And that's where you have a healthcare specific agent that is representing you well is going to be able to come in and fix these things for you. But we're arming you with the knowledge to be able to do that. Location, signage, access, get it right or pay for it. I'm going to make this super quick because it's a checklist thing. You need to have greater than 10,000 cars a day for traffic visibility. You're in urgent care, you're visible. That giant red plus sign is what's going to bring you business to you. 3 mile population needs to be greater than 25,000 in that populace to be able to serve you well. And then avoiding somebody else that has saturated that with 6 other urgent cares that are in that exact same greater than 10,000 cars a day, greater than 25,000 population. We've had one urgent care that we work with that is in the most obscure location that has somehow, God bless them, has made it work. And we love working with them. I'm going to take mutual credit. I think we've done good work for them, but I think he's a hustler and I'm proud of him. That being said, you want to make sure that your signage is readable. If you get into an area that doesn't allow you to have that kind of signage, you get in trouble real fast. To make sure that that sign is facing the traffic. If it's flat up against a building and everybody's going the opposite direction, they're never going to see it in parking. You want to make sure that your parking has ADA compliant access near an entrance and clear visibility. But here's the more important thing about all of that. You have to have parking.
Real parking.
We're struggling with that at our current location because a new tenant moved in and now all the parking spaces are filled. It's funny, but at the same time, that's not a problem for my business. But if there was an urgent care here, they'd be cooked.
And you can write that into a lease agreement where you signage / parking percentages, right? Like how much percentage of the parking are you allowed to have? Because it's real. In our space right now, we have 30 parking spots. And before this new tenant, which nothing against them, they're just a new tenant.
Yeah,
they're actually a retail medical. And now our 30 parking spots, when we came in, there were probably 20 left, give or take. And now there's 1 or 2 left.
We're fighting for parking now.
And there's technically like 3 more spaces available in our spot.
And by the way, as we grow, there's going to be less spots available for them.
It's a real
and they're in medical. Anyway, there are clauses that I think you absolutely have to have, and they can be written in. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You can have medical use, right, to operate as a clinic in that space. More importantly, you want to have exclusivity, right? Make sure that you have an assignable lease. If you get into a 10-year lease, you need to move your clinic make sure that you can have that lease where you can sublease to someone else to cover your butt. Early termination is ideal. Exit if the volume and the revenue underperforms. Again, based on some certain criteria, like a new road was cut or a Walmart in the area suddenly closed down and now all of your traffic volume drops off because of things that are out of your control. Signage rights, we talked about that. Exclusivity. You don't want to be in a facility where another urgent care can move right in. And then making sure that your CAM cap rates at a yearly basis, you can get increases, but you can't increase past X amount of dollars or X amount percentage.
And then, of course, if you can get a healthcare oriented attorney, again, they should know these things are They have a boilerplate of information that they always like to throw into any type of contract.
Correct. Awesome. And that takes care of that fail. You're up, buddy.
All right. So we'll click 1 too many. So now we got to have how your service mix is actually going. So the question, what percentage of your patient volume is for niche or repeatable services?
Cue the Jeopardy music.
And we'll give it just a minute so we're staying on.
Let me explain niche or repeatable services. Okay. Urgent care, typically speaking, is a one and done. But if you're offering IV therapy, that's repeat. If you're offering weight loss, that's repeat. If you're doing OCMED, technically speaking, that's repeat. Even though you're going to see the individual 1 or 2 times, the business is going to be feeding.
And then technically primary care is repeatable.
Primary care would be repeat if you're offering that service. Okay. So we got 50 to 75% is repeatable. Fantastic. Less than 50% is repeatable.
Majority of you guys.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just good to know that so that as you plan for scale, you can say, hey, what services should we offer that have repeatability?
So the title just says it all. You can't build a business on flu season alone. Who here knows that the flu season this year was weird? The timing of flu this year was very strange. We had lots of our clients saying, hey, why aren't we slammed? Right. The flu is actually not a thing right now. They were saying, like, where's our flu people? The volume isn't there. 2 weeks later, oh, there it is. It was delayed.
Yeah.
And it took from the West Coast to the East Coast to get here. It was a real thing. We recognize summers are slow, but school's starting back actually next 2 or 3 weeks. So you guys are going to be getting busy again soon for sure. And then also your volume goes up with flu, as we were saying. So that end of the year, beginning of the year time frame where it gets cold, people get sick, people go back into school. That's when I got right back up. How can you fight some of this? Are you doing evergreen services, repeatable service, that type of thing? Do you have sports and school physicals? Are you offering good offers around it? Because whether you like it or not, these sports and school physicals is a race to the bottom in terms of price. Everyone offers a pretty inexpensive type of situation because if you get them in for a physical, you can get them from other things too. And that's just the reality of it. There's that repeatable part where if a mom is coming in with 2 kids that needs their physicals, and like, well, that was a really good experience. And all, maybe I should come back here next time for something else.
When I walk into a certain restaurant in a community, they have up on the wall, welcome Alabaster or whatever, welcome Pelham, whatever. That's a great way during that season to be a part of your community and saying, hey, we're doing sports physicals for XYZ school, welcome in, and then have one of their football uniforms up.
Having a jersey from the schools that do support, because the school will be happy for you to buy one. They'd love for you to buy one from them. It's just like when you go into Zaxby's. Zaxby's is like fried chicken restaurant. Every restaurant has very local memorabilia.
Free full moon barbecue.
Cracker Barrel, all they kind of figured it out. Anyway, so ACMED we've talked about. So ACMED at the end of the day, it is a different animal. You have to remind yourself of that. It's not as simple as you wish it would be. But boy, does it come in handy once you grab a couple of those employers that love you and they're just feeding you all the time. It's a real thing. Wellness lab, maybe I'm not sick, but I need to get some things done. Something that our primary care may have done originally, but you can now do it as well. And the best part is you can get them the same day. It's just a more inviting situation there. Then minor injury stuff where I'm not sick, but I just sprained an ankle or broke a bone. You know, we've heard a lot in the urgent care space. Some of you guys are afraid to set bones, but we actually have a podcast guy coming on soon that's going to teach you how to set some of that or suture certain things. These are real items you can get that can happen any time of the year, and it's not based on just being sick. So a couple other things too. Are you doing telehealth? Like telehealth pieces are really important, especially if you do the follow-up side of it.
I don't recommend you do telehealth until you're at 75% capacity.
Yeah, I agree. Because telehealth is one great concept, but if it's not executed well, it causes problems. Are you doing the proper lab? We talked about IV therapy, where you have vitamin injections, wellness shots, things. You could charge a couple $100 for.
IV therapy is more popular than you think. It takes a little different kind of branding, but it can be.
IV therapy used to be an IV therapy clinic only, and then everybody figured out they can do it themselves from an urgent care standpoint for just any retail medicine. So now it's an easy add-on situation where you can step right into it. You hook up with a vendor, And pretty soon you're giving those injections pretty quickly. And they're expensive. Like you're charging a couple $100 here and there, depending on what they want. And if it's a great experience, they're going to keep coming back because they like the way they felt. The local schools are great feeder systems for you. And then look at the business that could complement you in some capacity. And of course, gyms and stuff like that, because they're already health conscious. All right. And so let's talk about this. Like you had just mentioned a second ago, but it's real. You have the stable first, then diverse. I feel like I should copyright that phrase.
You should. That is uniquely you.
And this is concept for any business out there, but this is extremely real for urgent care. Even the guy you talked to, basically what we're telling, he wasn't getting enough volume. He's like, I'm going to open their location.
But I'm doing about 5 patients a day. I'm going to open a new location to get more volume. Don't do that.
A couple reasons, but here's the rollout. You've assumed your current urgent care focus is working. Like your urgent care patients are coming in, you're hitting capacity numbers, you're healthy, you're making money. And then you add on a niche, right? So that's phase one. Phase two, now you're looking for adding on some other services and so forth. This is assuming everything's still stable. In phase three, now you're looking to add on an employer or a specialty service. So this could happen in a year, but it cannot happen in 3 months. If you go too fast, you'll trip. And what was making you money is now costing you money. And you don't know what to do. It's really, really hard to go backwards at the end of the day. So a couple of the key notes there. Are you hitting 80% plus on the capacity? So if your capacity for a clinic is 40 patients, are you hitting 32 patients per day regularly? If you're just hitting them occasionally, it's not good enough. You got to see where that 80% is, and you got to hit it regularly. I don't expect it every day, but I expect it multiple times a week. And then is your current staff handling all this volume and not burning out? Because if they are burning out and you're trying to add something else, it's not going to work because all of a sudden your quality will go down.
Yep.
And so it all boils back to, are all your systems really stable? Is it repeatable? And if you wanted to open another location, would it be super simple to do? And there would be no questions of what's going on. Because if you're like, I haven't figured this out yet, you don't open a second location. It's real simple. And then the brand side of things, this is real fun to me because I love branding stuff. We talked about where the word brand actually came from on a podcast episode, which was real interesting because I actually related to cattle branding, if you didn't know that. Anyway, so a couple of things here. So branding, I'm going to be out front with you. Branding is extremely difficult for urgent care. I love you guys. Like with the urgent care side of things, people don't know who you are. Doesn't matter how hard you try. They still just look for letters that says urgent care. And are you open? And do you have pretty good reviews? So because of that, don't give up. Don't give up. If you give up, it just makes it harder for you. A couple of things. Is your branding consistent? Is your signage consistent? But we have a couple of clients that have multi-location and their sign looked different for every location to the point I said, did you mean to send me this photo? Because this isn't you, is it? And they're like, oh yeah, that's us. It's not even the same color. Who is this? For especially the multi-locations, are you super consistent? If I walked into one location blindly, like you literally give me a blindfold, and you took me to a second and opened the blindfold and went to the second location, it's the same thing. Would I say, hey, I'm in the same place? No, you're in two different places. They just look really similar because we focused on that. All right. So that's like the basic stuff there. Voice wise, is the script being followed? Is it super predictable? At the end of the day, when somebody calls, they know who they're getting. Is your website actually reflecting your brand, or it was your brand 5 years ago when you started up and now it looks nothing like your brand? Are your reviews being consistent? And so, because that's part of your branding is reviews. And then, like I said, this is not an easy fix. This is not a quick fix. This is a huge challenge in your space, and you just simply have to accept that. And I'm going to show you an example why I'm convinced that it's not over yet. So, patient journey pre-visit. Are you super clear on the hours, the booking, the text, and so forth? Is it very consistent? Where when they're trying to get that visit, everything is happening consistently for them. Once they're in the clinic, is everything just clean and obvious and super easy? And the provider who's introducing themselves is a consistent introduction and so forth, or are they even introducing themselves? I've been to a clinic before where the provider comes in and they don't even say who they are, and like, hi.
Every dentist I've ever been to.
Yeah, exactly. Who are you? No idea. And then post visit, are you actually sending the consistent text, the review requests? Are you having them call back out to see if everything's okay? These are all part of the brand. Because at the end of the day, it's the experience. Branding is experience. And so if this experience isn't consistent, then you're losing out. Because at the end of the day, they may not remember you, but they remember how they felt. And that's super important. But I wanted to bring this guy up right here. I'm going to show you 3 logos now, and I'm curious, Do you know who this urgent care is? 3, 2, 1. It's Go Health, 384 locations. If you didn't know, look how many locations they got. How would you not know? Right? That's the mindset behind it. Next, who's this? Concentra, 540 locations. I realize they're also hospital related, but still, that's a huge brand. And this one, who's this? Do you know?
No idea who any of these are.
City MD, 169 locations. What I'm trying to hone in here is simply these are large brands with lots of dollars and lots of time, and not everybody knows who they are. I did not put American Family Care on here because it said it in their logo and I couldn't get rid of that.
You should have thrown like McDonald's and Wendy's.
Yeah, and everybody knows that. And that's a goal, right? But also they know their experience with it. Wendy's is always that I don't know what I'm getting in my bag at the drive-thru. But these are huge brands. So I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just trying to remind you that these are huge brands with lots of dollars and lots of time. And they struggle with branding at the end of the day. They just do. And so it's just something you have to remind yourself of. You have to keep pushing forward because your brand matters and the way you make your patients feel matters.
Scaling to six. Are you planning to open a new location in the next 12 months?
Oh, I am curious.
Okay, good. 2 no's.
Oh, considering it.
That's good. 3 no's. Okay, good. Cool. Let's keep going. And y'all can keep answering as you want. So don't scale chaos, scale systems. You will rise to the level of your systems and you will die to your goals if your systems aren't in place. Your systems are what's going to carry you in anything you do, not how you feel about it. So here's what you need to have in place. Standard operating positions for your operations, for your HR, and for your marketing, repeatable and documented. Leadership team, you need an operations manager, a front desk lead, and a marketing support. By the way, humble brag, we're a good marketing support. All right. Performance dashboards, track your visit, revenue, call conversions, and staff KPIs, your key performance indicators. We did an episode with a gentleman named Lynn Askin, who is an entrepreneur operating system EOS implementer for not just companies, but he can do urgent cares as well. And then if you don't want to hire an implementer, that's fine. Read the book Traction by Gino Wickman. That'll give you a really good indicator on how to run your business as a business and not just a medical facility.
Yeah, right? And if you're like, I don't know how to set up, like I'm just doing my business and I don't have anything set in place, that book will solve a lot of that for you.
Sweet. All right. Is location number 1 profitable? So I had a conversation this morning. Michael brought it up. The gentleman wasn't seeing near enough patients to be profitable or even break even, and already talking about getting another clinic. Those are private equity conversations, not independently owned conversations. Okay. If you're not profitable, you don't need another location yet. Let's get you profitable first. 15 to 20% net margin baseline. Are you hitting your net daily patient counts? That's going to be 23 for break even for most clinics. Anything over that is going to be your profitability. Are your staff and systems running without the owner's intervention? I cannot overstate this. The Jimmy Buffett benchmark. Could you go on vacation for 2 weeks and the clinic still run without you? If you can't answer yes, then you are not ready for another location.
No, because you cannot
be in 2 places at once. That's right. I know that was very quick, y'all, but it was an important one.
Yeah.
Systems matter.
It really does, because at the end of the day, your systems carry the business. And if you are your systems, you're just a solo person. Because it's one of those, if you're being caught with everyone's asking you all these questions all day long and you can't even do it in your own work, that's a problem. Final section that says, are you actually doing your KPIs and financial tracking? Real question, do you regularly review your clinic's key performance indicators, your KPIs? You may not even have any. Yes, monthly. You got a monthly, good. So we'll give it just a second longer.
Internally, we do it monthly as well.
Right? Some people don't. It's important because you don't want to run a business off of feelings.
You do, but it's not healthy.
It doesn't work out a year later. Or if you do have an opportunity to sell, it doesn't look good. All right. Anyway, real simple here. If you don't know your numbers, you're flying blind. You can make a pilot suggestion where if you can't read your instruments, you don't know where you're going.
I would make the argument that if you learn how to run it off your numbers, you'll be a better business owner than if you are trying to visually run your business. Just to give you some context.
It is real, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the biggest problems, you make big spending decisions, but you don't really understand that it make you money. Because if you're spending money on marketing, do you know how much it's costing you to get that patient in the door? Are you just losing dollars? You may not know. A lot of people don't recognize is that profit on paper when you pull your financial statements and it shows you, oh, I made a profit this year or this quarter or this month, but I have no money in the bank. Why?
Aged receivables.
Why is this happening? One of the things I have is how far are you waiting on unpaid claims? Because at some point you may have tons of stuff on the books to be paid, which shows profit. But we had one clinic that was telling us one time they had over $1 million in unpaid claims that they were waiting on. How do you function as a business when it happens? You don't want to loan your way to success because that's not going to work. But the reality of it is, you have to look at these numbers, because if they're trending down, it gives you a chance to fix it. If they're trending up, you say, what can I double down on to make it better? So monthly financial reviews at a minimum. And if you don't know what that even looks like, please don't be doing your own books. You can outsource that for pennies on the dollar in terms of what it's costing you personally. And the second that you have an audit from an IRS, you'll be very thankful for the people who are running your books. You can ask whoever's running your books, hey, can you give me a monthly snapshot of what my financial situation looks like? And then can you give me some historical data on, are we improving or getting better?
Understand without that person how to read a P&L.
And what's how there's some key numbers that matter. What are your monthly expenses like? Are they going up dramatically? Are you looking for opportunities to cut expenses accordingly? Because you're like, hey, why do I keep buying this one thing that nobody is using anymore? Why don't we cut it? In our world, it's always software oriented. Why are we still paying for this software that we no longer use? That's a real thing. But if you don't check it monthly, it goes by for 6 months. Like, wow, we wasted a lot of money on that. Next is like, are you overstaffed? I'm going to give you a quick thing though. You're either overstaffed or understaffed. You're never just staffed. And once you accept that, it's okay. But the reality of it is, how overstaffed are you and how understaffed are you? And you can look at that from a straight, do I have people just twiddling their thumbs all day? Probably overstaffed. If it's consistent throughout the week, probably. Do I have people asking for time off but never take the time off, or they're stressed out when I talk to them every time? You're probably understaffed. All right. Next, have a scoreboard. What's your visit volume actually look like from a weekly standpoint? Hey, we had 300 patients this week. Is that good or bad? And then you start to see the trending, because everything has trends. If you look at it from a weekly standpoint, though, it allows you to make a correction where you may even say, oh, we've had 2 slow weeks and we're running ads with patient care marketing pros. Let's go talk to them. Hey, what's going on? Some competitor stepped in and has done some stuff. Can we increase your budget? Yeah, let's do that. You can cut off an issue before it becomes a real issue,
Correct.
right? Going back to looking at your rates, are you getting call to booking rates? What percentage is that? Are you actually making consistent money on each visit? How is the payers? Like, which one's doing how many more payers do you have? Is Blue Cross the number one provider, or is it United or whoever else?
So are you accepting the insurance that people want to do business
Yeah.
with?
Do you have a lot of denials?
Yeah.
Anyway, and of course for us, marketing ROI at the end of the day. So we made it to the very end. PIs at the end, just because it doesn't matter how awesome we are with stuff up front. If you're not measuring anything, you're going to be fail. As I say, what's the phrase that if you everything you measure can grow?
Yeah.
And so that's the reality of it.
What you measure grows, and what grows changes.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Like I said, it was just a webinar going over those items, and like there's 7 ways to fail. Which way are you currently struggling with? Maybe you're killing it and nothing is wrong, and you can just say, I could pat myself on the back on that one. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Like I said at the beginning, we do have a monthly webinar. I'd love to have you sign up. Just send us an email at hello@patientcaremarketingpros.com, and we can take care of that for you. But thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.